Ever think someone's an easy target? Wrong. Belle gets lured into a car by some shady guys with bad intentions. They try to get out of line, not knowing her dad's a mafia boss. Big mistake. This ain't your typical girl. She grabs a tennis racket and teaches them a brutal lesson in respect. You just don't mess with a mafia family's daughter. Alright, buckle up for a seriously twisted tale.
In the park.
Now, let's rewind a bit. Rocco, a hitman with the mafia, totally messes up. He offs a whole Italian family thinking they're the Manzonis. Oops, he even chops off a finger. Classic mafia move, right? And sends it to the big boss, Don Lucchese, who's chilling in the slammer. Turns out, wrong family. Don's like, dude, keep looking. Meanwhile, the real Manzoni fam is ditching the US for Normandy, France, thanks to the FBI's Witness Protection Program. We've got Giovanni, the dad, and surprise, surprise, he's a former mafia boss. Then there's his fiery wife Maggie, their kids Belle and Warren, and their dog, who they creatively named Malavita, which, if you know Italian, is a bit of a wink-wink. The reason for all the moving and name changes? Don Lucchese. Years ago, he tried to whack Giovanni, his rival. Giovanni snitched, Lucchese went to jail, and now his goons are hunting them down for revenge. Drama! They arrive in their new French pad in the dead of night. After flipping the power back on and getting a fire going, Giovanni pretends to scope out the yard. But sneaky him, he's actually dragging a body out of his trunk and burying it in the backyard. What's that about? We'll find out later. Next morning, new town, new lives, right? Maggie heads out to see what's what. The verdict from the local cafe waitress? This town is boring. Then, at the grocery store, she overhears the clerk and some locals trash-talking Americans in French, thinking Maggie won't understand. Big mistake. Maggie, fueled by fury, grabs some booze and a gas can, stashes them in the back room, lights a match, and boom, she pays real quick and gets out of there just as her little trap explodes. Talk about a fiery temper. Later, at a fast food joint, she slurps her soda so loudly she turns heads. Ah, the American way? She does manage to befriend the local priest though. Maybe some peace at last? Now, the kids. Belle and Warren hit up their new school. Warren, trying to be all cool and smart, mouths off to some bullies and ends up getting a beatdown in the bathroom. Ouch. Lunchtime rolls around, and he's already got the school's social map figured out. He's planning to start his own mini mafia. This kid. Belle, walking home, gets followed by some teenage boys in a car who want her to hang out. She says no at first, but then gets lost and figures, why not? Wrong move, Belle. Instead of taking her home, they head to a lake hangout spot. She asks to go home, but the leader gets creepy, making unwanted advances. Not having any of that, Belle grabs a tennis racket from their car and teaches the dude a lesson, telling the others to respect women. Then, she steals their car and drives herself home. You go, girl! Meanwhile, Giovanni's having a secret smoke by the gate. Bad habit. He spots some FBI agents lurking nearby. They're watching him like hawks. He heads back inside and stumbles upon a working typewriter in the garden shed. Jackpot! He decides it's finally time to write his memoir, detailing how he took over the family biz his grandpa started. During a writing break, he meets his neighbor through their connected backyards and lies about being a writer when asked what he does. Smooth. Geo. Smooth. Later that evening, FBI agent Robert Stansfield, the guy in charge of their case, pays them a visit during dinner. He gives Giovanni's writer's story a thumbs up. Then he asks about a missing shop owner. Giovanni plays dumb, but guess what? That's the body in the backyard. Turns out, the guy sold him some fresh seafood that was frozen. Mafia justice, I guess? Stansfield warns him to stay out of trouble and mentions the FBI agents across the street keeping an eye on them, DeChico and Mimo. That night, Giovanni has a nightmare about a barbecue party years ago, the very moment Lucchese tried to take him out. The next day, Maggie gets suspicious about Giovanni's writing and freaks when she finds out it's a memoir. Hello, potential trouble. She takes a peace offering of food to DeChico and Mimo, asking Giovanni to check the brown tap water. The plumber she called is a no-show. At school, Warren's making moves, using info and stolen stuff to build his little crew. Belle, on the other hand, had to throw down in the bathroom because some girl jacked her pencil case. She also spots a hot guy in the cafeteria, Henry, a college student subbing as a math teacher. Warren tells her all the girls are after him, but Belle's got a plan. She asks Henry for private math lessons. Smart. Meanwhile, Warren catches up with his bullies after school and, with his new crew, gives them a taste of their own medicine. Back home, the plumber finally shows up, super late, which ticks Giovanni off. Then, the guy tries to rip him off by saying he needs to replace all the pipes. Big mistake. Giovanni uses some handy basement tools to persuade him otherwise. Let's just say the plumber ends up in his own van on the way to the hospital with a lot of broken bones. The doctor scratching his head about that fall. While all this is going down, Rocco finally tracks down the seafood shop owner's family and, well, let's just say they won't be ordering any more fish. Giovanni keeps writing his memoir, reminiscing about his good old days in Brooklyn. That evening, Maggie chews him out for the plumber incident, and Giovanni throws her convenience store explosion back in her face. Their shared love of fire leads to a heated moment on the couch. Oops! Weekend rolls around, and the family throws a barbecue, inviting the whole neighborhood. They're not thrilled, but Stansfield insisted it's for community bonding. Maggie quizzes Belle about Henry and gives her the be safe talk. Belle assures her she's planning something special, not just a quick classroom hookup. Warren arrives with a bunch of sodas and tells his mom to ditch the French food for some good old American grub. Turns out, he's right. The neighbors are curious about the eccentric Americans and dig their weird food. Even DiCicco and Mimo get to join the fun. The only one missing is Giovanni. Belle finds him in the garden shed. Writing his life story has been like a long, hard look in the mirror, and he realizes he hasn't been the best dad. Belle disagrees, telling him he's the best. Feeling better, Giovanni joins the party, only to get annoyed when the neighbors try to teach him how to light a grill. He imagines all sorts of torturous scenarios, but is thankfully interrupted by Stansfield. Stansfield tells Giovanni that the higher-ups are worried about his memoir. It could cause a lot of trouble. Giovanni promises it's just for him. Stansfield then drops a bombshell. Giovanni snitching on Lucchese was the best PR the FBI ever had. More and more of Giovanni's old crew are now flipping for protection. At the end of the party, Belle's bummed that Henri didn't show. The next day, Giovanni goes to see the mayor about the brown water. No solution there. Giovanni imagines a beatdown, but keeps it civil. Next stop, the water company. Turns out, the water's already dirty when it arrives at their reserves. A worker points the finger at a local fertilizer factory. Giovanni pays them a visit, and when the boss is rude and unhelpful, Giovanni takes matters into his own hands, literally. He ties the guy to his car and drags him until he spills the beans about a turbine that needs deactivating. With the info he needs, Giovanni leaves the guy in the middle of the road with his bike, promising some serious pain if he blabs. Back home, Stansfield's reading Giovanni's manuscript. He likes it, but still gives him grief for writing it. Meanwhile, Maggie's been hitting up church, and the priest finally convinces her to confess. What she says is so shocking it haunts him for a week, and he bans her from the church. Yikes. At school, Warren forgot to write something for the school paper. With 5 minutes to spare,
if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me.
The newspaper gets passed around, even ends up in Lucchese's cell. The old man recognizes the quote and sends his goons to Normandy to find Giovanni. Uh-oh. After class, Belle visits Henry at his place, and things get steamy against the door. That evening, Giovanni gets a call from a neighbor inviting him to their monthly film night. Next up, an American classic, and they want Giovanni's writerly expertise for the discussion. Giovanni accepts. Stansfield, who's listening in, thinks it's a terrible idea. Giovanni disagrees, seeing it as a chance to fit in. He even convinces Stansfield to come along. The next day, the school board finds out about Warren's extracurricular activities. He rushes home for cash and fake IDs, planning to bolt to Paris and start his own illegal empire like his dad did at 13. Before leaving, he says goodbye to Belle, who's heartbroken because Henri was just a fling and is now moving to Paris too. Giovanni leaves a dummy in his bed to fool the FBI and sneaks out to bomb the turbine, causing the brown water. Then, he meets Stansfield and they head to the film night. The movie, Goodfellas. Stansfield thinks it's a disaster, but Giovanni says leaving early would be suspicious. After the movie, Giovanni is asked about its accuracy. He can't help but start sharing fictional stories from his Mafia days. The crowd eats it up, but Stansfield is not amused. Thinking Giovanni's lost it, he calls DiCicco and Mimo to round up the family. Plan B is a go. Meanwhile, Warren's at the train station, and Belle's on a roof, threatening to jump if Henri doesn't take her back. Just then, they both spot a bunch of Mafia hitmen arriving in town. They rush home to warn their parents, but Maggie couldn't get to the phone in time. The hitmen take out the police station, use their records to find Giovanni's address, and even sabotage the fire department. Maggie joins DiCicco and Mimo, worried about her missing kids. Then, boom, an explosion rocks the town. It's Giovanni's bomb, timed perfectly for his movie night alibi. Stansfield drops him off at home, warning him to stay inside while he talks to the cops. Maggie tries to go home, but sees the men in black and retreats inside with DiCicco and Mimo. She tries calling Giovanni, but he doesn't answer. The hitmen arrive at the house and blow it to smithereens, taking out any curious neighbors too. Luckily, Giovanni survived by hiding in the garden after his dog Malavita gave him a warning bark. Maggie wants to go to him, but as DiCicco and Mimo approach the door, they're instantly taken out by a hitman who then threatens Maggie. Giovanni bursts in and chokes the guy out while Maggie grabs a knife and finishes him off. While the other hitmen are busy checking out the wreckage, Warren and Belle arrive and swipe some of their weapons. A massive gunfight erupts, and the kids manage to take out most of the hitmen, except for Rocco. Warren gets knocked out by a gun's recoil. Belle leaves him and runs, hoping Rocco's out of bullets, but the old guy's tough. He chases her until Stansfield shows up and runs him over with his car. The hitmen are gone, but the family's cover is blown. Time for another move, another town, another set of fake names. But hey, at least Giovanni got to tell his stories to an audience, even if they thought it was all made up. Alright, movie lovers, that wraps up our story for today. The biggest lesson? Family ties run deep, even in the Mafia. Despite all the crazy situations and attempts at a normal life, the Manzoni family sticks together. They might bicker and have their secrets, but when push comes to shove, they have each other's backs, especially when facing external threats. It shows that family bonds can be incredibly strong, even in unconventional circumstances. And always remember, sometimes the most unassuming people can be the most dangerous. If you enjoyed this recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more movie breakdowns. See you next time.